You should watch this, guys. If you are in your 20s or sitting down there home watching something, I think you should watch this video. The greed is destroying our world. I watched this and I was like, wow, this is a masterpiece.
Dentist
Let's
just
go
tried to
deep
get me to
into
sign
that.
up for a credit card. Since the pandemic, the cost of living has skyrocketed, inflation is out of control, groceries have never been more expensive, layoffs are happening at an alarming rate. At this point, a college degree might be more likely to get you into crippling debt than it is to help you find a job. And even if you have savings, you're more than likely one stroke of bad luck away from
Yep.
losing it all to medical
Why?
bills. And yet some people will
Why?
look you right in the
That's
eyes
the
and tell
question.
you, I don't know what you're talking about. The numbers are green.
Yeah. You say that we are being fed with the fear cells. They try to teach us that we have to be afraid of the future. We are going to lose life ahead. Everything is going to be worse. But then we see the numbers growing. The GDP grows, and this big corporate company still earns. How? And our job sucks. So this video is one of the videos that I had to comment on and see what's really happening. Because you wonder how Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Samsung, they are still growing. And then you are down there in your home, you can't afford the rent. And when did renting start? We all know that American dream was to own a house, but it seems like it's not feasible in this world. It's not possible to get to that point at this generation. What happened? What changed?
This guy's
I
stupid.
guess
The
you
problem
started
is
with the
each of these
internet.
people are kind of correct in their own way. This is the best the economy has ever been if you already have money. If you bought a house 5 years ago, there's a chance it's already doubled in
Yep.
value. If you invested in the S&P 500 in 2021, you could be up as much as 80%. And that's not like saying, you'd be rich if you just bought Bitcoin in 1973. That's just the regular stock market. You didn't need to have
Mm-hmm. So how would you get to that point of saying that I have to invest in this? Or if you should have some money apart that you have to invest in those stuff. But if you are struggling with getting the food or paying the rent, or if you started buying a home or getting a mortgage each month, some people works 2 jobs a day, 2 jobs just to keep paying the bills so that they can survive. And then the rich getting richer. What do they do which we don't? The minority. I mean, the majority, but 1% are the one who own the whole thing in this world. BlackRock's own a lot of things. Microsoft, same way. They tricked us into believing that we have to work in a certain way, but it seems like we are the one who are providing information to them. We are the one who are feeding them.
some genius
I'll tell
level
you
of
more about
foresight
this
to be able to do
if we
that. You just
keep
needed
going
to
on with
already
this
have
video.
a bunch of cash sitting around. And obviously, for the overwhelming majority of people, that is not the case. If you're living paycheck to paycheck,
Yep.
you're not thinking about the stock market. If you're in your 20s, you haven't even been working long enough to save any money to invest. You don't get to benefit from rising home equity if you don't own a house. The only thing this graph represents to you is how much further away that dream is getting. Right now, the
Yeah.
average age of home buyers is
Which is true. 39 to 59 years old. So you are going to tell me that I'm going to buy a house and start paying mortgage for 30 years old if I'm 30 now. For other 30, I'll be 60. And then what have I worked for? Building a house that it's like I've been paying for the next generation. I don't live in this life now no more. Because if I'm 39, for example, from here, and then I have to work for 30 years paying mortgage with interest as well, which also double. And then I've been working for those guys or those who own the house, the one whom I bought too, the mortgage I'm paying. Plus, if I fail to pay, there is a risk that I have to do that. So they are selling something to us
59
which
years
seems
old.
impossible.
What a
How
depressing
did we get
statistic.
here?
This is the problem with an economy that disproportionately benefits asset holders instead of the people still trying to earn them. Wealth grows exponentially, but wages aren't even outpacing inflation, which means if your salary hasn't been going up every year, you're effectively making less money. Meanwhile, the fastest way to make $1 million is to just already have 10 million. Leave it in an investment account for a year and congratulations, you now have $11 million. At a larger scale, this is why it feels like there's two different economies happening and they're both moving in opposite directions. 50% of the stock market is owned by the top 1% and only 1% is owned by the bottom 50%. Don't let somebody tell you that these numbers going up should discredit your own lived experience. Don't let somebody who's benefited from untaxed inheritance or years of compound interest granting them passive income tell you that your problem is you're just not working hard enough. No, the real answer is sorry, you should have been born sooner. Have you thought?
Should have been, which is not possible at this point, because to be honest, if people have to work hard, there are people who work 2 jobs and they want to survive. This is why we are getting. Last time I did a video about this generation, how marriage looks like a luxury to them, a luxury item, because they can't afford that kind of life they want to. You think of the way you are going to live. Economy is hard. You're trying to survive, and then if you get married to a lady or whatever, then you give birth to a new child. You'll be supposed to pay child support in addition to the life you are struggling with. Most people don't have emergency fund. Who in the hell save 50,000 or 30 just for emergency in this economy? Only the rich can do that, but the majority are facing the challenge that they cannot change at this time. For example, if you are in college, you go to college, you pay tuition fee, or it's a debt. And then if you have a debt, you get outside, you don't get a job. If you get a job, you get that one that pays less, and you have the loan that is growing proportional. So in your life, you will live all the life paying the debt. And how will you invest? So to be honest, there are a lot of things that are happening, and I don't know how I can handle it by myself. I think some people will get richer and richer.
What about that? Maybe instead of wasting all that time farting around kindergarten class, you should have been investing in real estate. It's not my fault you're lazy. People are getting squeezed in every direction while also being gaslit into thinking that it's somehow our fault. There's CEOs in earnings calls bragging about how they get to make customers pay for inflation so they don't have to. The economy is so bad right now, I'm about to segue into an extremely ill-timed brand deal in a video about greed. You think I like looking like a hypocrite? Of course not. But my avocado toast isn't going to pay for itself. Hi, I'm Upside Down, and I'm here to tell you about today's sponsor, NordVPN. If you're watching this video, you're probably...
Yep. Oh. Okay. We don't have to watch this sponsor. There is no way. But to be honest, the annual inflation rate is for the consumer price. For the last 12 months, it has grown to 3%. Did your income grow 3%? No. So the core inflation, excluding volatile food and other energy prices, has been nearly 3%. Did yours raise again? No, the salary did not. So let's be honest. If on a monthly basis, the price rose by 0.3 by September this 2025, how much is your salary earning growing? If the rent is still high, growing high, so we are going to be trapped in a generation where we live like we are on mercy of them, of the rich people. And how did we get here? That's the first question I ask myself. How did we get to this point? Okay. Let's keep watching the video, but
it's still going up is because of the AI industry.
How did we get
but
here?
The only reason that even looks as good as it does is because a handful of companies are just like passing money back and forth. But there's no recession. You're hallucinating that. Because the AI industry is now single-handedly propping up the entire global economy, there's really only two paths forward. Worst case scenario, turns out it is all bullshit. The bubble pops in spectacular fashion, trillions of dollars of investments cannot get paid out, and everything goes up in flames. Or best case scenario, a few billionaires get even richer. Wait, is that what we're hoping for? All right, you're gonna have to bear with.
Here's what is happening, to be honest. We started with the internet, the booming of internet in the 90s or before that. And then they made this system to make us feel like we work for them in a way that we are feeling like we are serving ourselves. So if I'm using Google or Gemini and searching something and another person does, so they collected that information to know what we really need, the people needs. And then they sell us to what we want. So we are the one providing them with the information that they need to build something that we take our job. For example, if they say that most of the time we are asking on a phone, we are asking for delivery, and then we do that. So that's how we keep making them richer. I heard that this is one of the reasons why we are getting the generation Gen Z. Economically, they are cooked, like the other guys say. We are cooked.
While I go on another AI
Gen Z
rant here,
cooked.
I know I do this like every 6 months, but it's not going away. It doesn't count as beating a dead horse if the horse is still alive.
Nah.
We got to kill that horse first. People largely do not like AI and are worried about the future it imposes. It's currently being used to make a bunch of promises that almost no one asked for. The main appeal of it comes from corporations who see advancements in AI as a way to further reduce their dependence on human labor. The only thing cheaper than outsourcing jobs is just eliminating them altogether. The wet dream that soils the sheets of every CEO is a company that's somehow run entirely on its own, and they can just sit back and collect all the profits for themselves. No more dealing with pesky labor laws or health insurance or can I have sex?
Okay. So, to be honest, AI is not that bad, but the way it is introduced to the people, it makes them slave. People nowadays, they are not thinking everything you want to think about. Oh, let me ask Google. Let me ask you this one. How will you generate an idea that can be helpful to the world if you are still looking up to the AI or Gemini or any other kind of ChatGPT, whatever that you use? This is a control of mind. The more people get lazier, the more they become slaves to the materials. If people are getting addicted to something, so the more they need that. So if they need that kind of information, if they need to rely on it, that means you have control over them. You can tell them what to do. You can feed them with the information that you want them to believe, because they are leaning on you. But if they depend on themselves and find the solution by themselves and think for themselves, then we have made them not richer the way they want to be rich. So the truth is, AI is a great tool in the right hand, but you should be aware that it's a slavery way to the most people, because they make us feel like we have everything in our hand. But in reality, we don't. We are feeding them with information of our desire, of what we want, and then they will keep us enslaving us in a way that we cannot go back.
Shut up! That's the eventual goal, and why they're all pouring billions of dollars into NVIDIA chips and data centers and cool shirts for Mark Zuckerberg. And in the meantime, we're stuck with ChatGPT, a humanized Google search designed to affirm whatever belief you share with it, even if it's incredibly dangerous, or generative video apps that are already being used to trick people into thinking something happened that didn't actually happen. Awesome technology. I'm so glad this exists. And I think the best thing we can do to fight back against AI is to simply not engage with it. The problem is, even if you don't use these tools, if you live in certain parts of the country, you might be paying for them. There's been a lot of really good investigative journalism done on all these new data centers that are popping up around the country. Who's funding them and who's getting screwed over in the process. For example, some residents in New Jersey who noticed that their power bill kept going up, even though they were actually using less electricity electricity than usual. Well, it turns out it's due to an overall supply cost. Basically, when the total amount of electricity usage in an area goes up, power companies tend to pass those higher costs onto their customers. And for the past several years, electricity usage has been skyrocketing, with over half.
So they are using electricity and we are paying for that. Imagine you are still using the same amount of energy that you are consuming, and then it's tripling the price because Elon Musk or another fucking billionaire there just started a plant around you. So they are consuming electricity and we pay the price. Oh, I can't believe this is what is happening. So you mean that even though I may try to save my money, thinking that I will not be using much of electricity, then I'll be paying for the billionaire? That's a slavery which is indirect. I think they should be priced for what they are using the energy for, instead of us, the people, be the one paying this. This is hilarious. This is beyond what I can't comprehend what is going on with this. The data center may cost 60% jump in electricity price. Oh my goodness. So we are going to be paying 60 more because Elon Musk decided to open an AI plant database somewhere around our
half of that increase coming solely from data centers. Your utility bill is going up because Elon Musk wants to pretend to have a girlfriend. You see, AI doesn't just exist in some theoretical space. It has to be trained on trillions of gigabytes of data, and that data has to be stored in a physical location. To power this, it requires an absurd amount of electricity, which generates an absurd amount of heat, which then requires an absurd amount of water to cool off. Most of these buildings use over 1 million gallons per day, roughly the equivalent of 10,000 people. This would be even more problematic if they were being built in areas where water is extremely scarce. So we should be good as long as we don't build a bunch of them in like the middle of the desert. Whoops. But to be fair, they are extremely efficient about it. They don't just use the water, they also poison it. Every part of this process is wasteful and destructive.
Yep. It is true. It is true, man. These carbon dioxide plums, they are increasing in an area. Imagine in a neighborhood where you have this sort of plants, you have manufacturing industries around you, you have the cars and whatever that we use, and then we are the one facing this kind of challenge. Instead, we are paying it. You get sick, cancer, all these pandemic diseases that are growing around the world. They are due to these guys who are greedy in a point that they want to earn everything from you. So who make the rules that protect the people? The politician. Who helped the politician to get into office? The rich top 1%, because they fund their campaign, and then they will help them put the regulations that favor their companies, which obviously will be in their favor.
And
So
this is
we
only
won't
the
be in
beginning.
our
AI
favor,
is still a
the people.
relatively new phenomenon, so we're only just starting to see the effects of this. But the Department of Energy projects that the percentage of electricity used by data centers could nearly triple in just the next 3 years. And who gets to pay for it? We do. It's hard for me to accurately express how infuriating this is. The giant buildings that power this stupid fucking technology are being subsidized by people who just happen to live near them. Oh, but hold on, because they're technically contributing to the operating costs. So does that mean that they get to share in the eventual profits? No, of course not. They're more like involuntary investors doing it for free, or really worse than free, because a lot of them are being kept awake at night by the deafening hum endlessly emitting from the factory shoved into the backyard of their homes that have now surely plummeted in value as a result. But hey, at least they're doing all of this to make a product that hopes to replace 80% of humanity. It's not enough that these people already own everything they could ever want. They could so easily afford to pay for these things without even noticing that that money is gone. But why would they do that when they could simply have poor people pay for it instead? Because not
The truth is, everyone wants to be on next level. There is a kind of competition. If you see Gemini and OpenAI, they are having trillion of expenses just trying to make it better, make it favorable to their company. The big company are fighting to get ahead of each other. So what do they do? Suck the blood out of the people. Do all you can to make the most profit that you can earn. And that's what they are doing. They don't care if you or any person around you get hurt, because that's not in their interest. And they are the one who, if you say that you have been harmed by the factor around you, the scientists who are also paid by them will be the one denying that this is actually safe. This is actually safe. Why? Because they know that they know that they are the one who holds everything, the regulation. Those people who own the regulation of any country, they are the one who own the country. Who makes the law? Yeah, the politician. The politician who will get funded by who? By the big corporate companies. So the corporate company will all the time do what is in their favor. They will not do what is in the favor of the community. And they will pretend like they have doing everything for you, because they know the way to play with your emotions. It's giving what you feel like you want. What makes life easier
will ever be enough for them. You know, when a rich person makes some shady deal to screw over the working class, people will joke that they just need that money to buy their 4th yacht. And like, I don't even think it's that. They could buy.
They want the power. They don't want another yacht. They can buy that. But the power and the control. You see, for example, let's take Mark Zuckerberg on Meta. Meta started with Facebook, later on Instagram, later on WhatsApp. Why do they buy the other companies? They want to have control over the information that is being provided, so they can do their researches and do whatever they want to do. If there is something that you want to know, let's, for example, which area in this country really where we can sell or we can start like a stadium, for example, where there is football, or where they like match the football. What do they do? Data. The data you provided through WhatsApp, through Instagram, through Facebook. They say that in this region there is a demand of the fucking thing that they want to build, and then they provide that to the community. But in the sake of their interests, they did not consider you as some potential investor because you invested your information there. Now, you did it willingly, feeling like you are doing it for your favor. They tell that your information is encrypted, which is not true, to be honest. So why should we keep using this or this document? I feel like we are in a system where everyone is trapped. And the way to get out of the mud, we are like trapped in the mud. And the more you try to figure out how you want to get out, the more you sink. So I don't know how we are going to get out of
still
this
not
kind
run
of
out of
madness.
money. They don't want to spend their wealth. They just want it to get bigger. It's the same obsession with seeing number go up that keeps me addicted to old school RuneScape, except the only life that's ruining is my own. What they have is a disease. They have been scourged with the blight of insatiable greed, cursed to an endless pursuit of wealth that will never bring them true happiness. I would almost feel bad for them if they weren't actively destroying the world in the process. One of the most frustrating things about this problem is that if you even try to suggest that maybe these guys should just have a little bit less money, like you guys can still be rich, whatever, just turn it down a notch because you're kind of making shit terrible for everybody else, you're treated like you're crazy. No, this is the American way. If you don't like it, then leave. And yet these ideas aren't radical. They're not even new. Most people who advocate for a more progressive tax system are only calling for a return to something that used to exist in this country. We just forgot about it. So I think it's important to do a little history lesson here. If you can believe it, there was a time
Let's be honest. Let's not act like we don't see the good side of everything that these guys are doing as well, because they made communication easier for us. Because I'll be talking to someone in Asia or Europe or Africa. It's just in a matter of seconds, and we'll be talking like we are at the same place. How did we get there? Because these guys made something good for us, which is good for, of course. We have streamers who also became rich. How? How did they get rich? Because of what this kind of technology the guys are building. They are building something which is also helpful to the community. But the way we face them, the way we use them, it's a bit challenging and not good for most of the people. I mean, they can be useful if they are used in the right way. But how do we get to the point where each person get what they deserve by working hard? There are guys who get lucky on YouTube or whatever platform they use and they become rich. MrBeast, for example, the other and more speed, more like others that I don't want to mention. But to be honest, there is a high possibility that things may get better if you get lucky and try. But there is no way you have to say that if I do my best, there is no guarantee that you have to be rich. No. The guarantee is that make something that is unusual and face the competition with the bigger companies like Meta or Amazon, whatever that is a corporate company there. So they are killing the small companies and they own the shares in every sort of business that is around. If you take a look at Amazon is not only about delivering. They are also going into business of making things like, it's not about only delivery. You know the truth. They invest in different companies as well. Nvidia as well. So all these companies, they do the same strategy. Buy the local company, kill the competition, own everything, make a new or like any sort of new thing that you want to create, sell it to the community, and make people always lean on you in everything. And that's how things are made. That's all. That's the truth about what is happening. So as a conclusion, I would say, I don't want to watch the whole video, but the conclusion is, it doesn't matter if you are rich, I mean, if you are young or whatever, it's the strategy that you'll be using. We all know that you want to be rich, but how? Learn the strategy of investment. Sometimes don't take courses which are not helping. So if you see that for example, these companies which are richer and buy bonds or shares in the company if you have a little money to invest in. So keep doing that or start your own business, but be aware that at this time it's harder than before. It's harder than before. And all you do, you have to just have a leap of faith into these unknowns and try to learn more how you can work with these companies. If they are starting ChatGPT or any other AI, learn how to use more in your advantage. Otherwise, you will stay behind. Okay, thank you for watching our YouTube video, and go to Rumble and subscribe and follow us. Let us know what you think in the comment section, and see you. Bye.